Hi, everybody. To start off with, I want to show you another way to get in contact with me specifically, and just another resource for you to know about that might help you with this class or with your other classes too. I'm just at the main library homepage, library.ecu.edu, and if you scroll down here and click on View Research Guides, these are different digital curated research guides for different courses that librarians have made and maintain. Um, so if I scroll down here to Health and Human Performance, so you can see there are some specific, sorry about my email, there are some specific courses. There's not a specific Health 3000 one for this course, but there is a general Health and Human Performance guide. So some of your other classes, they may have a more specific one, um, but it's worth looking at if you're stuck in a particular course and just don't know where to go to find the things you need to find. You can read kind of with the tabs. They all kind of have an overall subject they go over. So this might be helpful for you to know about either for this class or other ones. I'd encourage you to check it out sometime. Notes on APA citation, which I'll go over in another video. But this Get Help tab, since I'm the science librarian, these are all the subjects that I kind of cover. So these options in the middle are similar to the other way that I showed you in the first video, but you can also click here too. But these are all linked to the Joiner reference desk. You can email me directly if you click on this button, or you can see it's right here. My email is curtisam19@ecu.edu. So if you do have questions, feel free to email me directly, or use these reference desk options. Or you can access them just through the main library homepage, how I showed you before. Just wanted you to be aware of all your options, okay? Okay, so I wanted to go over, since we're here, how to access the different databases you might use for this project or this course. Um, you always want to go through the main library homepage instead of trying to Google them. Depending what it is, you might find content that way, but usually you'll hit a paywall, um, or it'll show you part of an article but want you to pay for the full access. So I would encourage you, no matter what it is, um, even Google Scholar here, always go through the main library homepage instead of trying to find it on your own. That way, it may prompt you to sign in with your pirate ID and your passphrase, but it's just verifying that you're a student. It's giving you the full access that your tuition is helping to pay for anyways. So just take advantage of that. If a technical error comes up, you can always contact me or one of the other librarians, the various ways I just showed you, and we'll help you with that. But anyways, always click through the database list here. So there's a couple different options you can do if you don't know where to start, because the database is basically just a collection of some type of information, okay? Um, we want to look at PubMed for this one, I know that. So you can either type the name here, you can click P for PubMed, you can also browse by subjects if you want. So we could do like health and human performance, but we know for this specific project, we want to look at PubMed. So P and then scroll down here and then PubMed. So you just click on the title here. So this is what it looks like here. This is the bar where we're going to search, okay? So you want to think of the keywords related to your topic. And I would say with this database or any others, start simple and you can always add additional terms, okay? So where we thought of several additional terms for each part of our topic that we want to look for, you don't have to add everything in every time. Especially with your project in particular, you want to find different pieces of information all related to one topic, right? Um, so you're going to do several different searches. It's not just going to be a one and done thing. So for my sample topic, I'm going to try to do something more related to what you guys will be doing. But I'm going to go with the example of promoting physical activity to prevent obesity and related illnesses. So, again, you want to think of terms related to that, and I would say start simple. So I'm going to say obesity. So I do like PubMed gives you some predictive text. So some of this stuff may relate to what you want to look up, and some of it you can kind of discard. But just glancing right here, we have obesity intervention, obesity risk, obesity exercise. So those are all things that I would probably take note of and also search later, okay? But for right now, I'm going to do obesity and let's do exercise just to start off and see what it gives me. Okay, so just some things to tell you about PubMed that I like. I like that it gives you the predictive text that I just showed you. It'll give you best matches. So that's their algorithm of best matches of research articles based on what you typed in. Um, to right here, it'll give you titles with your search terms included. Okay, this little search detail box is really important too. You don't need to understand all the intricacies of this, but basically PubMed is searching all these extra ways beyond what you just typed in. So sometimes there will be more technical or scientific specific terms that you didn't type in, but they might appear in this box. So it's just something to be aware of, and it might give you additional keywords that you can then add to your search, okay? Okay, so starting off, we have almost 32,000 results. We don't want to look at all of those things. So, different things we can do to kind of cut down on that amount. You can filter by year if you only want to look at things published in the last 10 years or more recently. You could click on something like that. It'll give you a little check mark to show you what's activated. And if you change your mind at any point, you could always click it again and it'll take off that filter. If we click on custom range, you could do a custom range, just depending what your topic is. You may or may not want to look at only more recent things up to a certain point. There's no hard, fast rule that anything, say, older than 10 years isn't relevant. That's definitely not true, but it depends what your topic is as to how timely this needs to be, because research articles also take longer to be published than some of the more popular sources. So that's another thing to keep aware of. I'm not sure about this specific assignment, if it has to be something say within the last 10 years or so. But that's the filter for that. Um, we could also, if you don't want to do the best match search, just depending what you typed in that search bar at the top, you could click on most recent instead, or it looks like I already have that one. So vice versa then. So right now I have best match instead of most recent, but either way you want to look at it, you could do that. If you're getting a lot of things with studies that have to do with animals or not humans, we could click on humans there, for example, and that'll cut down some of your articles. Okay, another thing to take note of, PubMed is not so intuitive with this part of it as some of the databases, but we can filter by article types. To do that, you have to click on the customize button here. don't be overwhelmed because there's a whole bunch of different options. Okay? You don't need to necessarily 100% know what all of these are or bother with them. Um, but for example, if I don't want to look at any reviews, I might take that one off. Just kind of glance at the different options. A randomized control trial. We want to look at actual observational studies, journal article, clinical trials. So pretty much you want to look for the ones that say study or trial in them instead of review, or some of the additional ones you probably don't care about. The other second part of this is you have to click again to actually activate the filter, which is a little bit annoying that it's an extra step, but it does visually remind you. Now I know that I'm looking at all these different article types. If I change my mind and want to either add or take away one of these, I can click again or click this customize button. Does that make, I hope that makes sense to you. If not, please ask me questions. Okay, for my last couple minutes right now, I want to show you how to actually access the articles. And okay, so just glancing at the different titles we see, this would be the title and the authors here. I also like that PubMed gives you a link to similar articles. So if you really like this one particular article, you may want to check out what it's picked up for you that it's tagged in a similar way. So let me click on this and show you. Okay, so some of the different functions you can expect to see in most of the research articles you're going to find through here at least. This would be the title right here and the authors. And you can look at additional information about the authors if you want. Typically there's an abstract. So I like to read these first. It's kind of a summary of the study, but it's not the actual study itself. But it is a good quick way to read this little synopsis, and you can decide if it's something that you want to read further and commit time to read the entire article or not. And typically they'll have keywords. So these are additional things you might want to add to your running list. They may be terms that you hadn't thought of before, okay? And just really quickly, we have some citation information up here, which I'll talk about in a separate video, but just so you're aware, that's the different journal title and dates here. To actually access the article, there's going to be these buttons over here, and they may appear slightly differently just depending, but you want to look for one of the ECU online full text ones if that's an option. And hopefully this one works. Okay, so it's having me sign on, which I'll do really quickly. Okay. And if there's a PDF option, which it may look like a different button, I would always go with that because the PDF version is going to give you the print ready version. It's a little bit cleaner and less confusing to look at and to find the different components of it. But this would be my actual research article, okay? Another thing just to mention really quick is the research articles are going to have cited sources and references. And you may, if it's a really good research article that's related to what you want to find out more about, you may want to actually look up those references and look at those studies that this research has cited. So that's another thing to just take note of.